The air in Riverdale High's gym crackled with anticipation. It was Senior Appreciation Day, an annual event that celebrated the bonds that made them more than just classmates. Friendships, mentorships, even those unspoken connections that helped them navigate the minefield of adolescence. It was a day to acknowledge the quiet heroes, the steady anchors, the shoulder to cry on or a hand to hold when the hallways of high school felt like a battlefield. For Cheryl Blossom, however, this day was met with her usual dismissive snort. Appreciation, she drawled, fixing her crimson lipstick in the bathroom mirror. How utterly bourgeois. Next to her, Toni Topaz rolled her eyes fondly. Cheryl might have been the queen of sass, but Toni knew there was a method to Cheryl's theatrics. Beneath that tough exterior was a heart of gold, albeit one that sometimes got buried under Cheryl's own neuroses. Cheryl had never been good at expressing her feelings, but since Toni had entered her life, things had shifted. Their love story was one for the ages, a tale of two hearts finding solace in the stormiest of places. They had met in the most unlikely of circumstances, two lost souls finding purchase in each other amidst the chaos of Riverdale. And now, years later, they were each other's safe harbor, a haven from the relentless storms of their lives. Back in the gym, the ceremony was in full swing. Students took turns sharing anecdotes, some funny, some touching. Cheryl watched, a faint smile playing on her lips. She knew she didn't need fancy words or public displays to understand how much Toni meant to her. Their bond was woven into the fabric of their everyday lives. It was in the stolen glances across a crowded room, the quiet understanding in a shared silence, the fierce loyalty that knew no bounds. But a small part of her, perhaps the part that still clung to the naivete of youth, did yearn for a grand gesture, a declaration that would etch their love into the very foundations of Riverdale. As the program neared its end, Cheryl found herself alone in the restroom, lost in thought, the soft hum of the fluorescent lights mingling with the murmur of voices outside. A familiar figure slipped inside, her dark hair a stark contrast against the white tiles. "Cheryl," Toni began, a hint of uncertainty in her voice. Cheryl turned, her expression guarded, though her eyes betrayed a flicker of vulnerability. "What is it, Topaz? I saw your name on the list." Cheryl raised an eyebrow, her tone laced with sarcasm. "Oh, you mean the list of people you're supposed to publicly gush about? How dreadfully nauseating." Toni sighed, stepping closer. "Look, I get that this whole thing is a bit much, but I couldn't let the day end without you knowing." Her voice trailed off, the unspoken words hanging heavy in the air between them. Suddenly, a crimson envelope fluttered to the floor, catching the light as it lay abandoned beneath the sink. Cheryl's eyes widened as she recognized the envelope. Her fingers trembled as she reached for it, the gold lining a stark reminder of a secret she had carefully concealed. The letter inside bore no sender's name, only a delicate script that sent shivers down Cheryl's spine. With trembling hands, she read aloud, "Thank you for loving me when I didn't know how to love myself. You saved me time and time again." Cheryl stared at the letter, her throat constricting as the weight of its words settled upon her. This wasn't just a simple thank you. It was a testament to the profound impact their love had on each other's lives. Through all the trials and tribulations they had faced, through the darkest nights and the brightest days, their love had been a constant, a beacon guiding them back to each other whenever the storms of life threatened to engulf them. She looked up, meeting Toni's gaze. In that shared silence, a flood of emotions surged within her, years of bottled feelings threatening to spill over. Before she could stop them, tears welled up in Cheryl's eyes, cascading down her cheeks. Toni's face soft with concern. She reached out, her touch gentle, yet it sent a jolt of electricity through Cheryl. Cheryl, unable to contain herself any longer, threw her arms around Toni, burying her face in the crook of her neck. "Oh, Topaz," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. I love you." The confession tumbled out, raw and heartfelt. There was no room for Cheryl's usual facade now. All that remained was the honesty of her emotions laid bare. Toni froze, her own heart swelling with a mixture of surprise and overwhelming love. The confession she had longed to hear echoed in her ears, resonating with the depth of her own feelings for Cheryl. Slowly, she returned the embrace, holding Cheryl close as if to ensure that this moment, this feeling, would never fade. "I love you too, Cheryl," she murmured, her voice thick with emotion. In that small bathroom surrounded by the ghosts of lockers and sinks, their love story unfolded in its most candid form. A testament to the enduring power of love in a place like Riverdale, where it often felt like the darkness was trying to snuff it out. But their moment of vulnerability was not destined to remain private. As fate would have it, their tearful reunion was interrupted by the insistent buzzing of Cheryl's phone. With a deep breath, Cheryl pulled away from Toni, wiping the remaining tears from her eyes. She reached for her phone, her fingers trembling slightly as she answered the call. "Hello?" she said, her voice betraying none of the turmoil she had just experienced. On the other end of the line, Jughead Jones, self-proclaimed chronicler of Riverdale's woes, had a knack for being at the center of every chaotic situation. And today was no different. He informed Cheryl that the ceremony had taken an unexpected turn and that everyone was looking for her. Curiosity piqued, Cheryl decided to return to the gym, leaving Toni behind with a promise to explain everything later. Upon her arrival, Cheryl found the gym buzzing with an entirely different kind of energy. The appreciation ceremony had taken an unexpected twist. As the final moments approached, a hush fell over the crowd. Then a familiar voice cut through the silence. Wait. The spotlight, or rather the gym lights, turned to reveal Fangs, Fogarty, one half of the school's dynamic duo, along with his partner, Sweet Pea. Fangs, known for his playful charm and quick wit, had a mischievous glint in his eye. "We got a couple of lovebirds who skipped their own appreciation moment," he announced, gesturing toward Cheryl and Toni, who stood frozen, caught off guard by Fang's revelation. A wave of gasps and murmurs rippled through the audience. Cheryl's face flushed, her mind racing. She shot a panicked look at Toni, silently pleading for help. But Toni, ever the quick thinker, was already on the defensive. "Fangs, dude, I don't think this is Come on, Topaz." Fangs interrupted, his voice laced with mock seriousness. "We all know Riverdale's favorite power couple doesn't appreciate cheesy public displays. But this ain't a display, man. This is real." Fangs paused, letting the gravity of his words sink in. "I'm here to tell these two lovebirds how much we appreciate them, not just as friends or classmates, but as a couple. You guys have shown us what true love and commitment mean." Cheryl felt her composure crumbling, but before she could react, Toni stepped forward. With a deep breath, she addressed the stunned silence that had fallen over the gym. Well, this is definitely not what I expected for Appreciation Day. But thanks, right? She began, her voice shaking slightly as she met Cheryl's eyes. We do appreciate each other a lot. The tension in the room was palpable, the silence broken only by Cheryl's ragged breaths. Suddenly, a burst of applause erupted, echoing through the gym. One by one, the students joined in, their cheers growing louder, filling the space until it was impossible to ignore. Cheryl stood rooted to the spot, her heart pounding in her chest. It was then she realized she wasn't just facing the cheers of her classmates. She was basking in the love and acceptance of her community. The girl who once felt like an outcast, the girl who had yearned for connection, was now standing hand in hand with the woman she loved, surrounded by the echoes of appreciation. As the applause subsided, Toni squeezed Cheryl's hand, her eyes shining with unshed tears. So, she said with a shaky voice, guess this is our appreciation kiss. Cheryl, still overwhelmed, managed a shaky smile. It's our always kiss. And with that, their lips met in a kiss that spoke volumes of their journey, their struggles, their triumphs, and the boundless love they shared. In that moment, the walls of the Riverdale High gym seemed to melt away, leaving only Cheryl and Toni, lost in a world where there was no darkness, no secrets, only the promise of forever.